Hello, this is Alberta Brinson Moore, and you are at the Parent Power Group. And today our guest is Nancy Harris, Executive Director of Faith Foster Families Network. I just want to remind everyone, if you can put your name and your zip code in the chat, that would be greatly appreciated for recording purposes. To give you a little information about our center, the Wooten Center, the Al Wooten Jr. Center is a nonprofit organization founded by Myrtle Frey Rump in 1990 in honor of her son killed in a drive-by shooting. The center provides free after-school and summer programs for students in grades 3 to 12 in the South Los Angeles area. The Parent Power Group workshops are presented in partnership with the Green Foundation and other donors, which can be found at www.wootencenter.org/donors. In addition to this session, we have other sessions, and we would like to just remind you to check out our Wooten Center website, and it'll show you upcoming sessions. The information for today: wash hands, utensils, and kitchen services often. When you cook, germs are everywhere. And also, free testing is available regardless of insurance status or immigration status. So right now we will go to our presenter, Nancy Harris, and Nancy, I will give you screen sharing abilities. So you're available, Nancy. So I'll stop my share and then you can do it.
Okay, I thought I did have screen sharing capabilities, but now I don't see it anymore. Let me see. Let me expand my screen. Hold on.
At the bottom.
There we go. Yep. All right. Let me find my all right. I thought I had everything teed up, and of course I don't. So let me, if you could bear with me 1 second and let me pull up my, I'm so sorry. Bear with me, you all, as I pull up my I wonder why I cannot show
Say
that.
technology is our friend until it's not.
Yes, until it's not. I'm so like, okay, what's happening here? So let me see. Hold on. Just bear with me 1 second. Let's see if I can. Am I sharing my screen or no? Not yet.
Not yet.
All righty. Let's see if I can get it going now. There we go. All righty. I think I've got it together.
Yes, you got it.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for the invitation. It just warms my heart to be with you all this evening. I have a long-standing relationship with the Al Wooten Center. And I'm so grateful that Naomi and Miss Alberta actually reached out to me to be able to join you this evening. I just have a very warm place in my heart about the Wooten Center and all the work that the very hardworking people do there to strengthen and empower our children, because our children need that and they need us. And as we know, our community is often overlooked, underrepresented, and resources do not easily flow to our community. I still scratching my head to figure out why that is, because it's not like the city is devoid of resources, plenty of resources for us out there. For some reason, things don't flow as easily through South Los Angeles. So I'm grateful to the Wooten Center for all that you all do and grateful for our partnership. So on that note, I am Nancy Harris, and I am the Executive Director of the Faith Foster Families Network. And we are powered by faith, and we support foster families and foster youth, with our mission being to sustain a faith collaborative that provides resources, well-being, and safety for children and families impacted by the child welfare system. We are a network of 6 faith-based organizations, including churches. And at the bottom there, this particular screen, you'll see our members, and it's kind of small, so I'll read them to you. It is the Biddy Mason Charitable Foundation, which is an outreach ministry of First AME Church, the Center of Hope Church in Inglewood, the Children and Family Youth Collaborative, which is a organization, nonprofit, been around for 25 plus years, solely focused on supporting foster youth in the schools. Del Air Baptist Church, which is located in Hawthorne. Pastor Jefferson, who is the lead pastor, is also a foster parent. So, and he does many services, which I'll talk about in just a few. The Holman Community Development Corporation, which is where I initially met and became familiar with the Wooten Center. And the Holman Community Development Corporation is an outreach of Holman United Methodist Church in the West Adams district. And the Holman CDC focuses on job preparedness and job training and jobs for youth, as well as foster youth, youth in general, and foster youth, of course, also. And then the West Angeles Community Development Corporation, which is outreach ministry of West Angeles Church of God in Christ, has been around for 25 plus years and is probably the premier faith-based organization providing housing and social services to our community, as I said, for 25 plus years. And then we have affiliate members, the City of Refuge Church in Gardena and Crossroads United Methodist Church in Compton. We do our work in really 4 areas, and I'll just quickly go over those, and then I'm going to switch to another screen that really explains our services a little more in depth. But 4 focus areas: education and training, and that is primarily raising awareness about foster care and the plight of those impacted by foster care, and just education in general. And that could be education also to foster families, foster parents, and what have you. Human support, which is anything that touches directly humans. And so that includes mentorship programs and a few other things. Tangible resource distribution is another one of our focus areas. We do give away things that are going to help the quality of life for our foster youth, foster children, and foster families. We are about to open a centralized resource center on 83rd and Gramercy Place at St. Mark United Methodist Church. We have in the past distributed over 1,500 food and other resource distribution to over 1,500 children and families during the COVID crisis. And then finally, recruitment. We are an arm in our South LA community that looks for new resources, which are also foster parents, and just support for the foster care system as a whole. And so, as I mentioned earlier, these are our network members and some of the programs which they each have at each of our locations. I'm going to make sure that you all get this information. I will send it to Wooten Center so that everyone on the call will be able to have, of course, our information. Let me switch sharing just for a second and go to our next slide, which for again some reason is not showing up on my on my link here. Okay, this is about to drive me nuts, you guys. Technology, we know how that is, and it's not being my friend. So I'm going to ask you just to hold on one more minute again as I switch to another slide that was actually up a minute ago. So I'm not sure what happened to it. So if you could bear with me.
And if everyone can add their name and zip code to the chat, that would be greatly appreciated.
All righty. Let's see if I can campaign better. Uh-oh. All right, I'm telling you, as we say, the devil is busy. So I'm going to have to leave it up at that. And here's a little bit more about in detail about the services that we do provide at the Faith Foster Family Network. Under family support, we do foster family and caregiver support groups. We actually do that twice a month. Every second and fourth Wednesdays of the month, we get together, caregivers and parents get together to talk about whatever's on their mind. We do parenting courses, case management services for families, family bonding and visitation space at 3 of our 3FN locations. We do have family bonding and visitation space for our families to reunite. And we also are going to be heading up the Cultural Broker Support Program, which is actually a program of the Department of Children and Family Services. Our foster youth support includes scholarship opportunities. This is important to highlight, especially for the Wooten Center. For any young people that are currently in foster care or have ever been in foster care, there is the scholarship opportunities, which is actually handled by the Biddy Mason Charitable Foundation. They do our scholarship program. We have high school education support that is done by the Youth and Children Family, Children, Youth and Family Collaborative. They are actually located in the high schools and several high schools around the city and provide direct support for foster youth in the schools. Youth leadership development programs, and that specifically is through Los Angeles CDC with their Young in LA program, which focuses on African-American males. And of course, we have our mentor program, which is focused on youth that have just transitioned, young people, I should say, that have just transitioned out of the foster care system, and also for high school youth, as well as I mentioned, Holman CDC with our job preparedness training. Community awareness education, as I mentioned, we do in-person. We're starting to bring back our in-person events, as well as our virtual foster care and adoption events that really educate our community on what is child welfare and what is foster care and how to adopt, and really walk with you and put you on the path to gaining that status. We are in need of, especially families of color, to become foster parents and to adopt. I don't know if you don't know the statistic or not, but in the foster care system, there are over 35,000 children in LA County, that is LA County alone, that are impacted by the child welfare system. And of that 35,000, 23% are African American. Now, we only represent 7% of the population of LA County. However, we represent 25% of the foster care population. We are disproportionately represented, as we are in many of the social ills that plague us. And so we are just outreaching to everyone to become involved. If fostering or adoption is not your thing, in the recruitment category, we not only, of course, recruit for foster parents and adoption, but emergency fostering, respite care, and just in general support of the system. If you can help at an event, if that's your capacity at the moment, we welcome you and look towards recruitment in that arena. Because again, there are over 35,000 kids in LA County impacted by child welfare. LA County is the largest child welfare system in the nation. And as many know, it's a lot of bureaucracy, and our children of color represent the majority of the system. Our Latinx brothers and sisters actually make up the largest percentage of people impacted by child welfare. As the Latinx community is makes up about 50% of the population of LA County, and they are roughly 48 to 50% of the child welfare system. The issue with African Americans is we are disproportionately represented. We're only 7% of the population, but represent 25% of foster care. So as you can see, with 50% of the population of the foster care population being Latinx and 25% being African American, the majority of foster care is Black and brown. And they need our support. Our kids and families need our support. Tangible resource support, which I talked about. Again, we are going to have a centralized distribution center, which will be at St. Mark Church on 83rd and Gramercy Place. But any of our 3FN locations do good support. Each of us has diapers, all kinds of things, wipes, a multitude of different things. And at our distribution center at St. Mark, we will have larger items: beds, cribs, car seats, strollers. But tangible resource support is definitely one of our big areas. And then finally, I talked a little bit about this. There are prevention services. One of the things that we decided, because there was such a crisis when we began our work 2 years ago, we jumped into the middle of the pool. But the real issue for us is the prevention piece, is preventing children from even getting involved in the system. And that means supporting families. And so we do provide prevention services such as effective Black parenting courses, Project Fatherhood, again, case management services, and of course the cultural broker program, where we have advocates for our families of color that will come in and help our families navigate the waters of child welfare. So that is a little bit about, well, not a little bit, that is a lot of what we do. And our goal, again, as people of faith, we really take a different approach. It's a community, grassroots-based approach, and it's really about representing the people. We have learned, as we've been in this journey of trying to navigate these child welfare waters, is again, it's a lot of bureaucracy. There is not a lot of support for parents and families to prevent them from being in this situation. And our goal is to rally and awaken our faith community here in South Los Angeles and make sure that the county and the department knows that there are advocates like us out there in the community that are taking a watchful eye and making sure our families and our children are treated fairly. One of our quotes that we say often is from Nelson Mandela, who said, "There is no keener revelation of a society's soul than in the way it treats its children." And so we all take that to heart as a faith community. And as many of you may know, Jesus Christ was a kid person. That was one of his things. And so we are acting upon that call and making sure that we provide a safety net of people that look like us right in the community where our families and children can get the support that they need. So with that, I will just ask if there are any questions, Alberta, whatever. And I hope I covered what, if there's anything else you need me to cover, please let me know. I will stop sharing the screen and see if there's any questions anyone have. I did, I'm sorry, on that last slide, I did have our contact information showing, and I can share that again if that
Please
is.
definitely show your contact information.
Okay.
I know we're hearing more and more on the news about families that are affected by COVID and losing parents. So there are, what they are calling the COVID orphans. And also families are losing, some of the grandparents who were a lot of the childcare providers.
Right.
So some of the biological parents are struggling. So we're hearing more kids are in foster care because the, Nana is not there. So there's so much going on. So this topic is definitely something that's on folks' mind. Right. But my question, if people are not ready to be a foster parent, what are the other areas of engagement you had mentioned earlier?
Yes, so there are several areas of engagement. So, and we want the community involved, and the community needs to be involved. So if you are not, if fostering is not your thing, because it was not my thing. If fostering and becoming a foster parent is not your cup of tea, or adopting is not, there is emergency fostering where you may be called upon to take a baby or a child for a very, very short period of time. And when I say short period of time, it could be anywhere from 24 hours to perhaps 2 weeks until a situation is rectified. There is also what we call respite care, where a foster family may want to go, it needs a break, let's just say, wants to go on vacation, something of that nature. A respite care provider will step in and provide care for that family, for those kids until the family returns. There is being a mentor. We have our guide mentor program, which is a partnership between ourselves and the Right Way Foundation. And the Right Way Foundation and 3FN partnered to provide mentors for youth that have just recently transitioned out of the foster care system. So one of the things that we have been told repeatedly by young people that have been impacted by the foster care system is that one of the main things that they wish they had more of, and it always amazes me when I hear this, is that, but they wish they had a stable, reliable adult role models. And so, believe it or not, because everybody thinks kids, could care less about adults, but that was one of the main things that most of them will tell us if they could do it again, they wish they had more of. So I encourage everyone to consider becoming a mentor also too. And then again, if you're not sure, we do several events. We just finished our back to school event. And we'll be having events coming up now that the holidays are coming up. We adopt foster families and foster kids for Christmas, and we need help putting together, bags of gifts and things of that nature. So there are ways that you can volunteer to assist us, and all of that is important also too. and becoming educated yourselves about child welfare. I was on a conversation this afternoon with the Department of Children and Family Services, and they want us to spearhead an initiative to really start to educate the community on what to look out for in spotting if you feel there's something that's not right going on, or if you just know a family, may even be in your own family, that could use additional supports before something bad happens. So there's all kinds of ways to be involved, and we do need the community involved. So I see a hand. Coach Ron, is that you?
Yeah, that's me. First of all, says good evening. Thanks for participating and bringing us some vital insight. I talked to a lot of homeless foster kids, and one of the issues they like to say is that the foster family kept them for their biological family, and I think that contributes a lot to like foster parent abuse to these kids. Even though they're getting the money for the kids, they show no social obligations to the foster kids. Once they return 18, they release them to the general public with animosity and detachment from their biological family, and they are given no money. The foster parents are receiving nice checks for these kids, and they put up no savings for these kids. They send them out to the real world with nothing after receiving all their money and keeping them from their biological family. I think it should be some type of advocacy where the biological family members needs to be associated with these foster kids. It's wrong of foster families to put wedges and turn the kids against their biological family when at 18, the foster family really has nothing to do with the foster kids afterwards. So I think it should be some type of focus on that, because that's really traumatizing and creating a huge homeless issue with foster kids.
Yep.
They get out here, they have nowhere to turn, they have no connection to their biological family. And I think that's just foster parent abuse of these kids.
So it's interesting you bring that up because you hit a lot of things there, right? So I'm gonna try to deconstruct a little bit and answer some of what you have brought up. But you're absolutely right. Let me say this first. There are good foster parents out there. So there are. However, on that same line, there are those that we've even encountered that are not as concerned about the welfare of the foster kids as you would think they should be. We've had young people that literally at 18, we had 2 young people that were going to college, smart kids. One was going to UC Berkeley, one was going to Grand Canyon University, and at 18, once that was done, their foster parents are like, good luck, see you, you can't come back here. So, those of us that, we all know what it's like to be 18, and I don't know, we all can imagine what it would be like to be here in LA or even in college somewhere without that safety net. So to address that, we have started our mentor program, because our mentor program is designed for that aging out youth. And so we've tried to address that. Now they do still have services. A foster youth can still have access to services between the ages of 18 and 21. And there's a fight right now to extend that even past 21. But they still can have some financial support after 18. The challenge is that most of these young people do not have a support system. And that's where we, as a community of faith people, can step up. We can be that surrogate safety net for them. Also, we have That's what our family bonding visitation centers are for, Coach Ron, that this is the space where there is family bonding. So many foster families that have had their kids removed from homes are under court ordered visitation. And so that visitation is the number one factor in determining reunification. So we provide visitation spaces at our churches so that families can have the area to do their family bonding to help reunify. But Coach Ron, the issues are that, especially African-American kids, they remain in foster care longer and it's harder to reunify. And so, but there are things that are in place that do address that. We just need more of it. So, thank you for raising that issue. Very important issues. And we need men, Ron. If you want to be a mentor, we need men bad. That's a whole nother story I'm not going to get into, but we need men bad. Got plenty of women, female mentors, but we need the guys to step up.
But why we just don't, why we are not including biological family members to step up? I mean, because those are the ones that they're going to be funneling to once the foster parents aren't receiving any more money for them. Why they're not connecting to uncles and aunties and cousins and and moms and dads. It's like, I don't understand why foster families wants the foster kid to be separated from their biological family just for a paid incentive. It's like they incentivize to actually abuse the kids psychologically, and then their hands are off once they become 18. Once they become 18, it's like, well, here go your known father's number or your known mother's number or your grandmama or anybody, go see the caseworker. They have a history of your family records. They try to point them to the family when there's no more money to be paid for them to be in the home, but they don't want to point them to the family while they're being compensated for that child being there. That's the atrocity and abuse that foster families are putting on, especially Black kids, especially Black males. When you come to the world famous downtown Skid Row, all you see is Black foster males who are physically traumatized, all on psychiatric medication on their own, detached from family, having babies, getting their babies taken away from them. And it's all because the foster family abused the kids and kept them away from their biological family that's here in Southern California. That didn't have nothing to do with the case, though. See, that's another thing. The biological family had nothing to do, say, for instance, if a mama or dad abused the kids, allegedly, the auntie didn't have nothing to do with it. The uncles didn't have nothing to do with it. The brothers and sisters didn't have nothing to do with it. But yet and still, these foster families hold the entire family with that allegation or with that abuse.
So
and that's where it's wrong, totally.
So let me say this, Ron. I've got to disagree with you a little bit.
Why do you disagree? Have you have kids in the family?
Hold
you know
on.
I can say this because I have kids that being I have.
Uh-oh, Ron, you muted yourself.
I'm just saying, I'm speaking from my own personal experience.
So if I could just say a few things here. So first of all, we know many kinship parents. So there are, in fact, the largest percentage, there is a larger percentage of kids in foster care that are with family members than they are with what they call non-family members. So they try. Now, it ain't perfect, Ron. I'm gonna agree with you 100% on this. It's not perfect, but that supposedly is what they attempt to do, is to find family members first where the kids can be in care and kinship. Now, does that happen all the time? No, it doesn't. And you would be surprised. We talked to many former foster youth. In fact, we held focus groups this time last year where we spoke to over 100 folks in South LA, and including former foster youth. And some of them expressed the feeling that going to other family members was not necessarily the best thing for them. So it is, it's complicated. Let me just say that. But we feel our position is that we feel that kids should always, there has to be an exhaustive search of family members first before kids then are placed in non-familiar homes. And so we're still continuing to push to make that happen. But believe me, it's we've heard a lot of interesting things and stuff that we didn't expect to hear from former foster youth as it relates to kin care and other things. We were very surprised. But does more work need to be done on that? Absolutely. And we are proponents of children being cared for by family members if that's all possible. And again, we provide that space for the biological parent to reunite with the kids. So I see another hand. Vanquisha? Vankisha?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi. I just had a brief question. Um, my husband and I were thinking of becoming foster parents. We actually went through a lengthy process, and in the end, we kind of just gave up, I guess. Really, we submitted an application. We submitted um, documents for our employment and things of that nature. And it got to the point where we were supposed to do a um, training or a meeting together. And our time schedules conflicted with theirs. And then they had weekend trainings or meetings, but they were scheduled out for like 3 months. And we just like in the end just stopped following up. So I'm wondering, is there any incentive on going through this program, or are you guys, do you have any, like maybe there's an expedited process or something? Because at that time we gave up, but then I got this text message today and it was like, okay, well, maybe God is trying to tell me something. Maybe he's trying to lead us somewhere. So that's why I joined this meeting today, just to see, what was it?
Right. So now, when you were trying to get approved before, was it through the Department of Children and Family Services or from a foster family agency?
Through Department of Children and Family Services.
Okay. And how long was this? Years ago or recent or?
This was last year.
Oh, okay. So recent.
Actually, it was before the pandemic. Yeah, it was the year
in the
before
last
the
2
pandemic.
years then.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were in the process for about 4 or 5 months, and then they said they would call us back with a date and time that works with our schedule to do the classes. And then I think
never
they might
did.
have called me back, and I just didn't answer, and then it was just like the end of it.
Yeah. So the process can be daunting. And COVID has complicated it a bit with the virtual piece of it. They're backlogged, especially the Department of Children and Family Services. You may want to consider reaching out to a foster family agency. These are agencies that are actually contracted by the Department of Children and Family Services to provide additional support for people getting approved and going through the process. There are some differences between foster family agencies and DCFS regarding what you ultimately can do and who you can foster and things of that nature. What we do, we're not a program that actually puts you, how can I say, on the we don't directly give you a foster child. We are there to support. So we will walk alongside you in your application process. So if you need an advocate, or something's not going right, or something's too slow, or somebody's not returning your call, we can then jump in and advocate and walk side by side with you until you are actually approved. That's what we do. And so again, it's daunting. The process can be daunting, but I've heard of people that have gotten approved as quick as 3 to 4 months. And then I've heard some people like yourself, your stories where people have just fallen through the cracks. But if you are definitely interested and want to reapply and pursue further, please email or call us, and we will be back in touch with you to get you restarted, because we need you. Our
Okay,
kids
appreciate
and
that.
families need you. Yes.
I think definitely as a culture, as a people, we're going to have these, hard conversations with family members, with our neighbors, with the people that we know, because kids don't just get into foster care just because. There's so many reasons that it happens. And so talking about those reasons and addressing some of the issues that affect the families. We've all known people that have been in foster care. I personally know a lot of wonderful foster care families that follow kids way beyond 18.
Yes.
So there are, and I know some foster families that the kid had become part of their family, So there's no easy solutions, but we definitely have to talk about it.
Yeah. It's definitely complicated. Let me tell you, far more complicated than than we could have ever imagined. So
And COVID did not help the situation one bit.
COVID did make things a lot more complicated in a lot of ways. During the COVID period, reports of child neglect, drastically reduced. So one of the impacts that we're facing now is this backlog of investigations. It's again, it's daunting and challenging. We participate in case reviews at the local Department of Children and Family Services offices, where they are literally discussing whether or not a child should be removed from the home. And we participate in those discussions. And these are some, these are some very, very tough situations. They're tough discussions. And they are, especially in SPA 6 in South LA, there is an intentional focus right now to reduce the number of African-American kids being taken out of homes. And this is why we the Faith Foster Family Network members participate in these case reviews, to make sure that, there's other factors that the community can come in and wrap around without them just snatching kids out the home. So,
Well,
Coach Ron, I'm sorry, Alberta.
Coach Ron, do you have another question?
Oh yeah, I was just saying, when she mentioned the case reviews, do you guys look at some of the issues that are false, like people who make false claims against parents, get their kids taken away? Are there any of that ever considered? Because I know a lot of times the judge would say, even though people are lying or are bringing false allegations towards parents, the courts and commissioners like to look at their past and then say, well, we'll make a decision, a trial and error based on the past of the parents, and not on any type of proof that any allegation has brought forth at that moment. So what do you say about that? Or do you see stats that's demonstrating that? Or that issue?
So this is why we're on the case review team, because what part of what our role is, and part of what the case reviews are all about, is to exhaust all options that may be out there, including community support, so that our children do not have to be removed from the home. And that may mean, do we wrap around the parents, and maybe, there's fatherhood classes that we can send the father to. There is anger management support out there. There is, substance abuse support out there. So that is the point of the case reviews, is to try to offer alternatives and talk these situations out before the conclusion is drawn, just take the kid out the home. So did that answer it, Ron?
Well, I'm just saying, I just know a lot of people lie when it comes to these situations. They're not all truthful. So I'm just saying, is that considered when it's time, like, okay, here goes somebody who might get their child taken, but the allegation is false. So if it's false, why is it even being considered?
So they have to do, they have to do their investigations to determine if the allegation is false or not. They've got to determine that. I'm sure you're aware, even recently, there have been a few kids that have died in care with the biological families. There was a case just discussed in the LA Times in July about a child that was returned to their biological family in the Antelope Valley and ended up dying, being murdered by their biological family. So when there's allegations, there's a lot of investigation. And it's I'm telling you, sitting in on these case reviews, it's like, oh my God, what do you do? And their needs, what we want to make sure is happening is that the Department of Children and Family Services do their proper investigations and have community involved to ask the tough questions and really look at what other services can we provide, and make sure those allegations are investigated and questions are asked before children are removed from the homes. So to answer the long way to answer your question, yes, those types of things are discussed.
Well, we're coming to the top of our hour, and we want to go over a couple of things before we go. Nancy, thank you so much for coming. You shed a light on so many things that we need to review and address, and also giving us information, because there are families out there that are definitely interested in being foster families. And it's also good to know that there are other avenues to participate, even if you're not ready to commit to be a full-time foster family. So we definitely thank you for that. I'm going to share my screen for one last time. I want to make sure everybody has.
I need to stop my share, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I see there are several comments on in the chat, and so I am trying to respond here, so bear with me.
And also, if everyone has received Nancy's telephone number and email, like some of the individualized personal cases, it may be best to email her directly. So we can
Yes.
have, you can have those direct conversations and she can get you to the appropriate agencies.
And then, and Coach Ron, if you want to have some additional conversation, please reach out, because again, your perspective and your voice is needed badly.
Before we go, we're gonna,
I know you will, right?
before we go, we're gonna look at the information regarding the Green Foundation, Act Now, the COVID Help Fund. Do you need services and support? Here's the QR code. If you want to take a picture so that you can utilize it, or if you know folks that need this information, definitely share. Also contact the Green Foundation for more information. Our local contact person is Tatiana or Moza, and the telephone number is 323-229-3411. Email the Green Foundation at info@thegreenfoundation.net. Next week, we're going to have Kenneth Brown talking reducing and managing stress. So if you could register, we would greatly appreciate that. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Once again, Nancy, thank you so much.